So if a currency is going to have any chance whatsoever of becoming a medium of exchange or a store of value or a unit of account, it's got to have some stability, right? Volatility is not the friend of universal adoption. Okay, now look, if you have a fiat money and you can force people to use this currency, well then, you can have a lot of volatility, right? The value can plunk around, people will just respond, they'll change their behavior, right? If there's a lot of inflation, they'll spend that money very quickly. If there's deflation, right, then maybe they will hold on to that money, right? So they'll adjust their behavior based on that volatility. However, if you have a world where there are different currencies competing, you don't need to adjust your behavior. You just switch to the currency that provides you with the characteristics you're looking for. So, will Bitcoin stand a chance against the US dollar? It's going to be pretty hard if Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies continue to have the kind of volatility that they've had historically. Okay, so if we were to look at the value of Bitcoin, as denominated in fiat currencies, we see that it's bouncing around an awful lot, right? It's highly, highly volatile. And what this means is that, you can go to bed at night with what you think is a certain amount of value, and then you wake up in the morning and you see that your value is either deteriorated or grown, right? Now, look, that's not that much different from your portfolio, right? I mean, you have your S&P 500 in your portfolio, you go to bed at night, and well, actually the markets are closed, but you know what I mean. From day to day, the value of your portfolio changes, but no one uses the S&P 500 as currency, right? Nobody uses it as a medium of exchange. Nobody uses it as, right, a unit of account. Like no one says, I've got a car for sale here and it's going to cost you one S&P, right? They price it in dollars, and then you can figure out how much of your S&P you have to sell in order to get those dollars. So how volatile is Bitcoin? By virtually any measure, it is off the charts in terms of volatility. Remember, volatility isn't just about increasing in value or decreasing in value. It's about increasing in value and decreasing in value, all right? And so these gyrations create a lot of unpredictability. So just take a look at the volatility of Bitcoin relative to the volatility of the UK pound. So when Brexit was voted on and surprisingly approved by the British voters, you saw this huge spike in the volatility of the pound. And yet that massive spike, that unprecedented spike that you see is a pretty decent day for Bitcoin. So if you compare the volatility of Bitcoin to even the S&P 500, it's more volatile than the S&P 500. Bitcoin volatility is off the charts, okay? And it's not just Bitcoin, it's pretty much every cryptocurrency, okay? So imagine that you were to, be selling gasoline. Well, we know the price of gasoline varies every day based on the spot market price of oil. But if the price of gasoline were denominated in Bitcoins, right, it would be bouncing around like crazy. And that's why no one displays prices in Bitcoin. Even if you're going to sign up for a Bitcoin conference, right, or buy, right, a tutorial on Bitcoin, right, or you're going to buy a Bitcoin book, right, or you're going to pay for Bitcoin storage services, your price of those services and goods will be denominated in dollars. Now, why is the value of Bitcoin moving around so much? It's not because the supply of Bitcoin is varying so much. In fact, one of the most ingenious aspects of the Bitcoin protocol is that the supply of Bitcoin is growing, and it's growing at a very predictable rate. Okay, so if the only thing that mattered for the valuation of the currency was the supply, then we wouldn't have any of this volatility. So what's driving the volatility? It's really beliefs, right, about the future value of Bitcoin. Okay, and as those beliefs vary, as those animal spirits as Keynes called them, vary, the price varies. Now, perhaps, right, perhaps in the future, as those animal spirits kind of steady and dampen and smooth out, we might see a reduction in this volatility, and that will further the adoption of these cryptocurrencies as actual media of exchange and store of value.